Welcome to our deep dive on Fix Yourself Before It's Too Late. I gotta admit, the title's a little intense, right?
Yeah.
But don't worry, this isn't about self-flagellation. It's more like a wake-up call, you know? We're gonna unpack some hard truths that, let's be honest, we could all use a reminder of sometimes.
What's fascinating about this piece is the emphasis on taking responsibility for our lives. It's so easy to get caught up in the daily grind, that we forget to take a step back and ask ourselves, am I actually on the path I want to be on? This deep dive is a chance for you to do just that, to take stock, see if maybe a little course correction is needed.
It's like a personal audit, but for your life choices. And the piece jumps right in with some signs that you might need this fixing. Procrastination is a big one, naturally. I think we've all been there. But it also talks about feeling stuck in a rut, letting bad habits win, and just generally dodging responsibility. Any of that ringing a bell for you?
Each of these signs is like a warning light on your life's dashboard.
Ah.
Procrastination, for example, doesn't just kick the can down the road. It lets the problem fester and grow. The piece actually uses this example of ignoring a small leak in your roof.
Right.
And how that eventually leads to a major structural issue. That's procrastination in a nutshell, right? Letting small problems snowball into big ones.
That's a perfect example of how procrastination can really bite you in the long run. And speaking of things we tend to ignore, the piece also talks about the dangers of being surrounded by negativity.
Yes, it compares negativity to like a slow poison, eating away at your potential. And it's not just about negative people, it's about toxic habits and environments too.
Okay.
Think about it. Are you constantly comparing yourself to others on social media? Do you have a friend who always brings you down? Are you working in a job that sucks the life out of you? Those are all forms of toxicity that you need to address.
So we've got the warning signs, but why the urgency to fix yourself right now?
Well, the piece argues that time is literally slipping through our fingers.
Yeah.
And that inaction doesn't keep you in the same place. It pulls you backwards. Think about your health, for instance. You may not notice the effects of unhealthy habits today or even tomorrow.
Right.
But over time, they can lead to serious health problems. It's like that saying, you don't know what you've got till it's gone.
It's easy to take our health for granted until something goes wrong.
Yeah.
And it's not just about physical health, it's about mental and emotional well-being too.
No, for sure.
We've got to take care of ourselves on all levels.
Absolutely. And another reason to act now is because opportunities are fleeting. If you're not prepared to seize them, they'll pass you by. Imagine yourself 5 years from now looking back and thinking, if only I had taken that chance. Regret is a heavy burden to carry.
You know, that reminds me of something I read recently about how successful people don't necessarily have fewer setbacks or failures. They just have more at-bats. They're constantly putting themselves out there, taking risks, and learning from their mistakes.
That's a great point. It's about adopting a growth mindset, being willing to step outside of your comfort zone and embrace challenges as opportunities to learn and improve. But so often, we let fear and self-doubt hold us back.
We get paralyzed by the what-ifs instead of focusing on the potential rewards. And speaking of rewards, the piece doesn't just dwell on the negative. It actually offers a practical roadmap for fixing yourself. So let's dive into that, shall we?
Yeah.
What's the first step on this path to self-improvement?
The foundation of any real change is honesty, specifically brutal honesty.
Okay.
It's about taking a long, hard look in the mirror and acknowledging your weaknesses. What are the habits, thoughts, or even relationships that are holding you back?
This is where things can get uncomfortable, right? Nobody really wants to admit their flaws.
It's definitely not easy. But think of it like this. You can't fix what you don't acknowledge.
True.
So take some time to reflect and identify those areas where you could use some improvement.
So once you've identified your weak spots, what's next? Do you just wander around aimlessly hoping to stumble upon a solution?
Not quite. The next step is to set crystal clear goals. This isn't just about vague aspirations. It's about defining what you want to achieve in specific, measurable terms. Do you want to improve your health? Great. What does that look like for you? Losing weight, eating healthier, getting more exercise.
That makes sense. You got to have a destination in mind to know which direction to head.
Exactly. It's about having a roadmap for your self-improvement journey. But let's be realistic, motivation can be fickle, so how do you make sure you actually stick to these goals?
Yeah, we've all been there, starting a new diet or workout plan with gusto, only to fizzle out after a few weeks. So how do you avoid that dreaded backsliding?
The piece emphasizes the importance of building discipline, not just relying on fleeting bursts of motivation. It's about creating routines and habits that align with your goals. Remember, small, consistent actions add up over time.
Yeah, that reminds me of the story about the bamboo plant. It takes years for the bamboo to even break through the ground, but then it grows like crazy, sometimes several feet a day. It's a reminder that even though you may not see immediate results, those consistent efforts are working beneath the surface.
I love that analogy. It's about playing the long game, trusting the process, and not getting discouraged by setbacks.
Speaking of things that can set us back, we talked earlier about the dangers of toxicity. So how do you actually go about eliminating those negative influences?
This is where the fix yourself plan gets a little ruthless. It's about spring cleaning your life, getting rid of bad habits, negative people, and unhealthy environments. Think of it as decluttering your mental, emotional, and physical space to make room for growth.
It's like Marie Kondoing your life, but instead of asking, does this spark joy, you're asking, does this support my growth?
That's a great way to put it. It's about being intentional with the things you allow into your life and making sure they're aligned with your goals.
And what I love about this whole approach is that as you start decluttering and building new habits, you start seeing those small wins. Each one is like fuel, keeping you motivated to keep pushing forward.
Absolutely. It's like you're building momentum, and that momentum makes it easier to stay on track.
And speaking of momentum, this brings us to another important point. Knowledge is power. The piece we're deep diving into talks about how personal development is like giving your brain a workout. It's about expanding your mind, challenging your perspectives, and becoming a more well-rounded individual.
Exactly. It's not just about passively absorbing information. It's about actively engaging with it.
Okay.
This is where things get really interesting. The piece encourages you to develop critical thinking skills, question everything, get curious, and don't just accept things at face value.
So instead of blindly following the crowd, you're becoming an independent thinker, forging your own path.
Precisely. And that kind of thinking is invaluable in today's world.
Yeah.
It helps you navigate the constant barrage of information, make informed decisions, and form your own opinions.
I'm all for being a critical thinker. But let's be real. Life isn't always sunshine and roses. Sometimes it throws us some serious curveballs.
Absolutely. And this is where the piece takes a compassionate turn, reminding us that we don't have to go it alone.
Especially when dealing with those heavier things like mental health challenges, there's absolutely no shame in seeking help.
In fact, it's a sign of strength, not weakness. It takes courage to admit you need help and to reach out for support.
And speaking of strength, the source goes on to contrast the cost of inaction with the rewards of fixing yourself. This part really drives home the urgency of taking action.
Yeah, it paints a vivid picture of what your future could look like if you choose to stay stuck in those negative patterns. Imagine yourself years down the line,
Wow.
looking back and thinking, I could have. The missed opportunities, the health problems, the unfulfilled dreams. It's a heavy burden of regret.
It's like that sinking feeling you get when you realize you've let precious time slip away. And what's worse, inaction doesn't just keep you stagnant, it actually pulls you backwards. Those cracks we talked about, they only get wider over time.
Exactly. Problems tend to compound when we avoid dealing with them. But here's the good news. Let's flip the script and talk about the amazing rewards that come with actively working on fixing yourself.
Okay.
It's inspiring stuff.
This is where things get really exciting. Because it's not just about fixing those surface level issues, it's about unlocking your full potential.
You hit the nail on the head.
Thanks.
It's about transforming your life from the inside out. The piece talks about gaining confidence, creating opportunities you never thought possible, and stepping into a whole new version of yourself.
I love that. It's almost like you're shedding your old skin and emerging as a stronger, more vibrant you.
Exactly. And the best part is that it doesn't stop with you. Your growth inspires others, creating a ripple effect of positivity.
That's incredible. So by fixing yourself, you're actually making a positive impact on the world around you.
Absolutely. It's about recognizing that our personal growth is interconnected with the well-being of our communities. When we become the best versions of ourselves, we naturally inspire and uplift those around us.
So this whole fix yourself concept isn't just about self-improvement, it's about making the world a better place. I love that.
It's a beautiful thing, isn't it? It's about recognizing that we have a responsibility not only to ourselves, but also to our communities and the world at large.
So how do we translate all of this into action? I mean, where do we even begin? The source mentions a final thought as a parting challenge, almost like a call to arms.
It boils down to this. It's never too late to start, but the longer you wait, the harder it gets.
Gosh, that's hitting a little too close to home. We've all got those things we've been putting off, right?
But here's the encouraging part. Every small step you take towards improvement compounds over time. It's like that snowball effect. It starts small, but gains momentum as it rolls along.
So it's not about trying to overhaul your entire life overnight. It's about taking small, consistent steps in the right direction.
Exactly. What's one small habit you can tweak? One negative thought pattern you can challenge? One small step you can take to create a healthier environment for yourself?
It's about breaking down this big, daunting, fix-yourself idea into manageable chunks.
And remember, action breeds motivation. When you start seeing those small wins, it fuels your desire to keep going. You trick yourself into becoming a better version of yourself, almost.
All right, so give us some concrete examples. What are some small steps our listener can take right now? I'm all about actionable advice.
Let's say procrastination is your biggest hurdle. Maybe it's setting a timer for 25 minutes and tackling just one task you've been avoiding.
What about negativity? We talked about that earlier. Any tips for combating those pesky negative thoughts?
Absolutely. A simple but powerful technique is to consciously replace one negative thought with a positive affirmation. It's like retraining your brain to focus on the good instead of dwelling on the bad.
Love it. What about feeling stuck in a rut? Any advice for breaking free from that monotony?
This might be the perfect time to sign up for that online course you've been eyeing. Something to spark your curiosity and get you learning again.
Okay, those are all great. Small, actionable steps that anyone can implement right away. No excuses.
Exactly. It's about taking ownership and making a conscious decision to move forward.
And that brings us back to the core message of the source. Fix yourself before it's too late. But as we've discussed, it's not about fear-mongering. It's about empowerment.
You got it. It's about recognizing that you have the power to shape your own life.
You have the power to break free from those negative patterns, to build healthier habits, to create a future that aligns with your values and aspirations.
It's about stepping into the driver's seat and taking control of your own destiny.
And what I love about this whole concept is that it's never too late to start.
No matter where you are in your journey, no matter how many mistakes you've made, you always have the power to choose a different path.
That's such a hopeful message.
Absolutely. And that brings us to a crucial question for you. What does fixing yourself actually mean to you?
What resonates most from what we've talked about today? What areas do you want to focus on? What changes do you envision for your life?
Once you have clarity on that, it becomes much easier to identify those small, actionable steps you can take to move in the right direction.
And remember, it's a journey, not a destination. There will be setbacks, there will be challenges, but it's about progress, not perfection.
Embrace the journey. Be patient with yourself and never stop learning and growing.
Because the rewards of fixing yourself, they extend far beyond just your personal life. They ripple outward, impacting your relationships, your community, and the world around you.
Precisely. It's like we're all interconnected, and our personal growth contributes to a larger web of well-being.
So instead of trying to present this perfect, polished image, we embrace vulnerability and create a space for genuine connection and support.
Exactly. By sharing our struggles and triumphs, we normalize the ups and downs of personal growth and create a more supportive environment for everyone.
And even small acts of kindness can have a ripple effect, right?
Absolutely. A simple smile on a stranger, offering a helping hand, or just spreading kindness wherever you go can brighten someone's day and inspire them to pay it forward.
I love those little reminders that we all have the power to make a difference, even in small ways.
And if there's a particular cause you're passionate about, get involved. Volunteer your time, donate to a charity, or use your voice to advocate for change.
It's about taking that passion and channeling it into something that makes a difference in the world.
Remember, even the smallest actions can create a ripple effect. Never underestimate the power of one.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into fix yourself before it's too late, I want to leave you with a sense of hope and possibility. This journey of self-improvement might not always be easy,
Right.
but it's incredibly rewarding.
It's about becoming the best version of yourself, not just for your own sake, but for the sake of the world around you.
Remember, you are not alone on this journey. We're all in this together.
Yeah.
So keep learning, keep growing, and keep striving to make a positive impact.
Until next time.